I'd like to first say that one of our colleagues, Joaquin Castro, is at MD Anderson, got diagnosed with cancer, and let's offer our thoughts and prayers to him and for speedy recovery. And if you can reach out to him personally, that would be awesome. And anyway, our prayers are with him. There's no doubt that the growing aggression of the Chinese Communist Party poses a generational threat to the United States. From using a spy balloon to surveil some of America's most sensitive military sites, to their theft of upwards of $600 billion of American IP every year, much of which goes into their military, to their continued military aggression and expansion in the Indo-Pacific. And now CIA Director Burns has recently stated U.S. intelligence has reason to believe China is considering sending weapons, lethal weapons, to Russia. All this ahead of the upcoming meeting between Chairman Xi and Putin next week, where they will surely strengthen their unholy alliance. We are living through one of the most dangerous periods in American foreign policy in a generation. It is a struggle for the global balance of power, and the primary battleground is technology leadership. This is an issue Congress and this administration cannot ignore. I commended the administration for the recent export control rules on semiconductors and semiconductor equipment, and I look forward to hearing the details about your work with the Dutch and the Japanese to harmonize these controls. But I am concerned the administration's efforts aren't as all-encompassing as they should be. Congress authorized the Bureau of Industry and Security with expansive powers to stop the transfer of dual-use technology that the CCP is using to build their military. Yet overwhelmingly, BIS continues to grant licenses that allow critical U.S. technology to be sold to our adversaries, even those it's designed designated as threats to national security. In just one recent 6-month time period, BIS approved licenses worth $60 billion to Huawei and $40 billion to SMIC, their semiconductor company. Both of these companies are military companies for the CCP, and both are listed on the entities list. If BIS continues to mindlessly greenlight sensitive technology sales, the CCP has proven they will use our own inventions against us. Look no further than the recent spy balloon that the administration allowed to fly across much of the continental United States. It has been reported Western-made components were found in this balloon. That is on top of the recent hypersonic missile test, which circled the globe and landed with precision. This was only possible through U.S. technology that was sold to them. This should be a wake-up call to all Americans. I stand ready to work with the administration and with the Democrats on this panel to strengthen our export control systems where needed, and why I launched a 90-day review of BIS. We are also falling behind on the ideological battlefield. Congress appropriated $325 million to the State Department to counter CCP's malign influence around the world. But instead, that money was used to fund bakeries in Tunisia, electric vehicle charging stations in Vietnam. And at the same time, the CCP continues to invest large amounts of money in developing countries building bridges, roads, ports, and energy infrastructure, all the while growing their influence over the people in these developing nations. Both the U.S. aid and the Development Finance Corporation play key roles in developing lasting partnerships and long-term development and trade with other countries. Every day, we should make sure people around the world know that our aid is not the debt trap diplomacy that the CCP uses to exploit developing countries. But we are not succeeding. Of the 6.3 billion people living in developing countries, about 70% have a positive view of both China and Russia. 70%. All the while, the threat against Taiwan grows every day. Yet arms sales to Taiwan, those that the ranking member and I signed off on nearly 4 years ago, have yet to be delivered. despite the administration admitting Taiwan is facing an imminent threat from the CCP. We must strengthen Taiwan's defenses through weapons and training. We will not tolerate any attempts to delay notification to Congress of arms sales to Taiwan. But it's not too late to reverse this trend. As the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, it is my priority to make sure Congress and this administration are working together in a bipartisan fashion to confront this generational threat. That starts with ensuring that we are using the tools we have on the books, like export controls, to constrain the CCP's military and surveillance systems. And I stand ready to work with the administration and those on the other side of the aisle to strengthen our export control systems where needed. We need tough diplomacy and real actions to keep critical technologies and manufacturing capabilities out of the grip of our adversaries. So I look forward to hearing from each of you what you are doing to address the China challenge and what steps you're taking to dramatically shift your agency's priorities to meet this challenge head on. From what I've seen over the last 2 years, much more is needed. It is time we move beyond the false belief that the CCP will ever deal in good faith. Time and again, they do not stand behind their commitments. The CCP is acting in their own interest, and it's time that we start protecting ours. And with that, the chair now recognizes the ranking member, the gentleman from New York, Mr. Meeks, for any statements he may have.